So hey guys, been thinking about RedBox for the last couple of days, and I've just been thinking about how much of a shame it is that they're gone. So if you haven't heard, RedBox went bankrupt and shut down about 6 months ago. I suppose most people probably don't care, but to me it's something that's starting to frustrate me more and more every day because I realize more and more that I took it for granted. So I made a video a long time ago. Um, this was a This was a long time before I started making my first Fumo videos, and it looks like basically nobody's seen it. I doubt anybody who watches this video has seen it. But basically, the whole point I was trying to make about why I collect DVDs and other physical media is that I don't have strong faith in the longevity of the internet. I believe there's going to be some kind of catastrophe or event in the future where the internet as we know it will cease to exist. And it's kind of funny because this was before generative AI was even really a thing yet. So you can imagine that if I thought the internet was going to collapse then, imagine how certain I am of it now. But I suppose that's a different topic. So I collect physical media. Big deal. What's the problem? The problem is that getting your hands on DVDs today is actually really hard. Um, let's go through our options, as well as some pros and cons of them. Firstly, you got your basic retail. You can still go down to Walmart and buy DVDs. In fact, they sometimes have a big bargain bin thing where you can get all kinds of movies and stuff for like $2 to $5. And sometimes they got pretty good stuff. Um, Here's the problem. This isn't 2008 anymore, so their selection is really not that big, and it gets smaller year after year. And depending on or depending on what store you go to, they may not even sell DVDs at all anymore. Like, what was it? Best Buy stopped stopped their sale of DVDs altogether last year. I suppose it depends on where you are, but from my experience, they only tend to have either collections of old franchises or TV shows. Um, like my He-Man collection here, and I also have the 60s Batman, but I forgot to grab it. Or the very latest of movies. But those get replaced pretty quickly. So if you see something you like, you pretty much have to get it because it may not be there the next time you show up. And overall, retail is okay for finding movies, but it is more expensive. And if you're looking for something a little mainstream, then good luck with that. The second option is to go to your local thrift store. A lot of the movies I bought at my local thrift store, like my set of Lord of the Rings, Tommy Boy, and Napoleon Dynamite. This is probably my favorite way to find DVDs for a couple reasons. First of all, it's really cheap. That's always nice. At my local thrift stores, they usually sell them for about like $1 to like $4 max. And the selection of movies that you have is a lot wider. And sometimes they have really good stuff. Like actually earlier today, I just found like The Matrix, like the first Matrix movie there, and I got it for like $2, so that's pretty sweet. If you're looking for older or more niche selections, you really can't go wrong with thrift stores. The one problem is that you don't always get the most modern movies, which I suppose, depending on how you look at it, isn't really much of a problem because there's not really much today worth keeping, if you ask me. And a lot of what they have is often just kind of crap anyway. You see a lot of just a lot of nonsense there. Like I've seen a lot of Barbie movies and things. But like in the few rare instances of an actually good movie, like the new Dune movies, you'll have to look elsewhere. And the third option is, or I guess I should say was, RedBox. RedBox was like the perfect middle ground. You could rent all the new movies like a month after they came out, and they'd often bring back a selection of older movies too, just for like $1.25. Well, that's how much it was for as long as I could remember, and I believe they pushed up to like $1.75 fairly recently. Still, that's a pretty good deal. And if you didn't like the movie, that's no problem. Plus, you didn't need to go very far because red boxes, they were pretty freaking ubiquitous. Like I had one at the Smiths down the road from my house, as well as like a nearby gas station. So, um, could just take a short drive, get whatever movie I want. And now I suppose it depends on your situation, but like for me, it really wasn't too bad of an option, and it was fantastic. I remember my family, we used it a lot when I was growing up, and just now it's gone forever. And always thought it would be there, but I took it for granted. Now, can you see why it's so tragic? Another option for watching movies physically is now gone. Um, and there's nothing to replace it. Well, one of the main options, anyway. You can still find video stores at malls. Like I have one close to where I live called the Entertain Mart. And that's where I got a couple seasons of The Simpsons. They're probably the best way to find movies now. It's just that they're also just very expensive. Um, and you can also, interestingly, find movies at the library. That's right, you may have more than books at your local library. And the selection probably isn't the best, but you can't beat free. Now, you're probably asking, why don't I just like buy the movies online? And of course, that is an option. It's not my preferred method though, because um, I don't know. I just generally don't like to buy things online. Like I'd rather go to a place in person. And I suppose that brings up the question of streaming services too. If you're not in the, I guess if you're not in the loop when it comes to like the problems with streaming services, then I guess it might seem kind of weird that I'm just ignoring such a convenient option. But the truth is that streaming services today are, or like streaming stuff today in general is just kind of awful. Like it's at this point, it's actually better to just buy cable, as ironic as that is, and oftentimes they don't have the things that you would that you're looking for. Like a long time ago, we did have Netflix, and with Netflix, like they'd have something really good every once in a while, but then like for whatever reason, it would just disappear, and then now you couldn't find it, and then like today, it's like now you gotta have multiple streaming services just to watch anything, and it gets really pricey really fast. And there's also the question of data manipulation, or that's kind of the incorrect term, but like the media manipulation is what I should say. Um, there's been a lot of instances of companies manipulating or like altering the footage from a lot of older media. Like one of the like I recently heard that apparently on Disney Plus, if you're trying to watch Lilo and Stitch, they they changed it. Um, they changed a scene where Lilo is hiding in a dryer, and her older sister's trying to, I guess, find her and get her out of there. And like she climbs on top of the dryer. I'll have to find the scene for you. But basically, with the Disney Plus version, they completely drew over the what is it? Over the washing machine, and they completely changed it. And now that's kind of an innocuous an example, but there's been a lot of other ones. They've done the same thing to a lot of historical um, media too. Like Looney Tunes is another example that I've heard that, like, because obviously it came out back in like the 40s and 50s, there's some content that's not really acceptable today, and they just changed it without telling anybody. And that's the real problem, is that they changed it and they didn't tell anybody. And it's just very, to me, it's quite scummy. It's like rewriting a textbook. It's like, why would you do that? And I suppose moving on to buying movies digitally, that is definitely not, that is probably the worst way of doing it because you're not actually buying the movie. You're like buying the license to the movie. And like if you read the user terms and agreements and all that, it'll tell you that like it'll tell you that you don't actually own the movie, you own a license to it. And they have the right to revoke that license at any time. And this is something I'm sure that we've all heard already, unless you're particularly out of the loop when it comes to like buying movies and things. I'd rather die than buy a movie digitally, if that makes sense.
You can always pirate.
What? No, Marissa, I would never do that. No, I would never stoop to such lows. I'm a good citizen, and I obey the law. Okay? And besides, that's not physical media. It's not like you can still go down to your local Office Depot and buy a pack of 50 burnable DVDs as well as a cheap DVD burner and use 13-year-old software to make your own DVDs that can be played on DVD players. No, you would have to be pretty desperate or crazy enough to do that. Alright, well, I think that's about it for today. Tell me what you guys think about Redbox's bankruptcy. Did you guys used to use Redbox all the time? Do you know of any other good ways to get access to physical media? And I guess I'll talk to you guys next time.